India's e-commerce market is one of the most compelling consumer opportunities on the planet. But this is a politically sensitive sector in India. E-commerce in India sits at the intersection of two powerful forces. On one side, enormous consumer demand and foreign capital. On the other, a powerful domestic retail lobby and a government that has consistently protected it. The opportunity is undeniable, but it requires precision, both in structure and in ongoing management. Hello and welcome back to the Veyrah Law series. Today, we turn to a sector that has transformed how 1 billion Indians shop, pay, and consume. E-commerce. India's e-commerce market is one of the fastest growing in the world. It was valued at approximately $60 billion in 2023, and it is projected to reach around $300 billion by 2030. India now has over 900 million internet users, second only to China, and smartphone penetration continues to surge, particularly in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Post-COVID, the shift to online commerce accelerated dramatically. Digital payments through UPI crossed 22 billion transactions in a single month in 2026. The consumption story is real. The market is large, and it is still growing. Global players have already committed. Amazon has invested over $40 billion in India. Walmart acquired Flipkart for $16 billion. The opportunity is undeniable, but this is a politically sensitive sector in India. Let us be clear on that. E-commerce in India sits at the intersection of two powerful forces. On one side, enormous consumer demand and foreign capital. On the other, a powerful domestic retail lobby and a government that has consistently protected it. The result is a regulatory environment that is complex, frequently shifting, and carries real risk for foreign investors who get the structure wrong. Let us understand the FDI framework first. India's FDI policy on e-commerce draws a critical distinction between the marketplace model and inventory-based retail. The marketplace model is fully open. 100% FDI is permitted under the automatic route for marketplace e-commerce entities. In this model, the platform connects buyers and sellers. It does not own inventory. It does not sell directly to consumers. The inventory-based model is where it gets complicated. FDI in inventory-based B2B e-commerce is under the automatic route. However, B2C retail e-commerce, that is, selling directly to Indian consumers, is not under the automatic route. It is considered as multi-brand retailing. This is an area with a host of restrictions and conditions under FDI. Most foreign investors have kept away from entering this sector directly. Single-brand retail e-commerce, on the other hand, is more open. 100% FDI is allowed, subject to certain sourcing conditions. E-commerce for services, software, digital content, education, financial services is broadly open and does not carry the same restrictions. So the policy landscape creates two very different pathways. A relatively open one for marketplace and services, and a tightly restricted one for consumer goods retail. And here is where the real story begins. The restriction on multi-brand retail has not stopped global players from operating in India. Amazon, Walmart through Flipkart, both are present at massive scale. How? Through surrogate structures. Arrangements where inventory is technically held by Indian seller entities, but where the foreign platform provides the logistics, the warehousing, the pricing intelligence, and the brand infrastructure. Indian regulators have taken note of this. The Enforcement Directorate has initiated action against Amazon and Flipkart on multiple occasions for alleged FDI violations. The cases are still live. The players are still operating. But what does that tell us? Structuring is possible. But without the right protections, there is a high chance the structure will be disregarded by regulators or courts. This is not a sector for casual structuring. So, what does careful structuring actually look like? Here is our view. E-commerce in India can be a compelling opportunity, but it requires precision, both in structure and in ongoing management. First, as always, ring-fence the offshore structure. Always invest through a ring-fenced offshore entity. The Indian operations must be clearly separated from the parent. Any regulatory action in India should affect only the Indian entity, not the offshore parent. This is non-negotiable in a sector with this level of regulatory sensitivity. Second, if you want consumer retail, structure with precision. If the business model involves consumer goods retail, the structure must be designed with high precision. A workable framework typically looks like this. The foreign-owned entity operates as a marketplace platform, connecting third-party sellers to Indian consumers. A separate franchise entity, Indian-owned, manages the front-end brand and customer relationship. Control over the franchise entity should not be exercised through contract provisions. The foreign entity provides back-end services to the Indian entities. Technology, logistics expertise, labeling, quality control, all for a service fee. This keeps the foreign entity clearly on the services side of the regulatory line, not the retail side. The nuance, however, is in structuring the inventory risk using automation for order management. Third, data is the real asset. Focus there. Here is the strategic insight that most sophisticated global players have understood. In Indian e-commerce, the retail margin is thin, the competition is brutal, but the data, consumer behavior, purchasing patterns, price sensitivity, that is extraordinarily valuable. Structure your model to capture data rather than to chase retail sales margins. The data generates long-term competitive advantage. The retail margin generates regulatory risk. Fourth, manage inventory touchpoints carefully. The regulatory line between marketplace and inventory-based retail is drawn around control. If the foreign platform is seen to control inventory, pricing, stocking, logistics, even indirectly through Indian surrogates, regulators will look through the structure, document all arrangements carefully. Ensure that the Indian seller entities exercise genuine commercial independence. Avoid exclusivity arrangements that could be seen as effective inventory control. Next, outsource the high-risk interface functions where government interaction is unavoidable. Customs, GST, warehousing approvals. Outsource those functions to professional Indian agencies. As we discussed in our corruption episode, fixed-fee, outcome-based mandates provide the best protection. Next, build in regulatory agility. This sector changes fast. Policy has shifted multiple times in the last decade. Further changes are always possible. Your structure must be adaptable, not rigid. When regulatory scrutiny escalates, and it has done so repeatedly, the ability to restructure quickly is a competitive advantage, not an afterthought. Build contractual flexibility into every arrangement. Do not lock yourself into structures that cannot be unbound without material cost. To sum up, India's e-commerce market is one of the most compelling consumer opportunities on the planet. 1 billion internet users, a growing middle class, post-COVID digital habits that are now permanent. Tier 1 cities shopping online, Tier 2 cities following fast. But this is also an extremely sensitive sector for foreign investment. The FDI framework permits the marketplace model. It is cautious about multi-brand retail, and regulators have shown they will act when they believe the spirit of the rules is being circumvented. Structuring is possible. Players are operating at scale, but the protective steps must be in place. Get the structure right. Focus on data over margin. Build in adaptability. And stay close to your advisors as the regulatory landscape evolves. As someone rightly observed, the internet is becoming the town square for the global village of tomorrow. India's digital town square is already enormous, and it is still being built. With that, we hope this episode has got you thinking about e-commerce investments in India. If you found this video useful, please do share it. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode.